There we go. I just got a new lightsaber and I cannot be more stoked. And these coals are not lighting up today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's it, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the live. Sweet. How's everyone doing? We just got some frankincense and myrrh burning. Welcome to the live, everybody. We're just going to be talking about human design, Reiki, all kinds of things. So if you want to share what your human design is, please do. If you have any questions specifically about human design, that would be fun as like talking points. We could totally do that as well. Something that for me has been on my mind, as it always is I'm always looking at transits in human design. You can overlay your body graph with transits. And currently we have, which channels do we have open? So currently we've got the sun in gate 18, which is all about like the awareness of what needs to be corrected, and 17, which is about details, like what are the facts, which is a very interesting pairing right now. So for people with gate 58 and people with gate 62, you're going to experience an electromagnetic transit, meaning essentially more definition in those and in the spleen and the root than you've had before. Which, if you're new to human and you don't know what your body graph is, that is step number one. You got to body graph is, and you can get a body graph on my website for free. Not going to cost you a dime. All you got to do is enter your birth time, birthday, and birth location, and we'll generate you a body graph. And for those of you that don't know what human design is, think of it like astrology, but better. And the reason I say better is because, with human design, what you're able to do with human design is really like discover what's natural for you. And part of what is so important in life is to like manifest what's already inside you rather than trying to like shift what's inside you so that you manifest something that's perceivedly better. But anyway, if you're in the chat and you know your human design, let me know what type you are and I'll just start riffing. Hopefully once I get this cold going, doesn't want to start. First step was to add my email. Correct. Yeah. So email. Oh, yeah. I need your email because if you get a report, then I need to know where to send it to. Cody, what's up, boy? Bro, now might actually be a really good time to do the thing if you want to do it. So essentially, what you're doing with human design, because there's so many like in spirituality, right? 15 minutes, yeah, let's do it, bro. Um, so human design is really going to help you like experiment more intentionally, or to like, for instance, like meditation works really well for some people. For other people it's really hard. Dance and singing is really good for some people, for necessarily as good. So human design is really going to show you like what are the things in your experience. That's going to be where you're going to see all like the chart filled in, that you can like start to experiment with this in a way that's actually going to allow you to track your progress, right? Because when it comes to like spirituality and becoming more spiritual, it's like, oh, who's done more yoga teacher trainings? Who's done more of this? Who's done? It's still kind of like a battle of egos. And what human design is saying is, instead of using one measuring stick to measure everybody's spirituality, what we're going to do is we're going to basically measure people off how well they're being themselves. If that makes sense. Which is super important because, again, there's a lot of people that are going to things like plant medicine or yoga because that's what everybody else is doing, but it might not necessarily even be the best thing for their development. They might do better with like learning an instrument or taking a dance class or taking a fighting class, right? There's specifically a channel, it's the 2838, that is about struggle. And if you don't have something in your life that you struggle with and you're not fighting in your life, you're always going to feel like something is missing. Doesn't matter how much meditation you're doing, etc. Something's going to feel like it's missing. So, and again, it's one of those things where for me, I'm like the underground. I'm bringing stuff to God, to the public, that normal people, or not normal people, like analysts and a lot of the higher ups in human design, like they want to charge thousands of dollars, and it's worth thousands of dollars. However, it's got to get out. It's got to get out, and that's part of my mission, is to like get this information out. So my reports are $20. I have like advanced reports, which are $35, which to me is very cool, given that some people charge like $200 for a PDF. Mine's like that, possibly even better because I added, but I'm also a little biased towards myself. But anyway, human design is here to help you see yourself so that you can love yourself, and that's something that is very how you say, a lot of spirituality and a lot of coaches they'll just teach you how to love yourself, and that's fine, except human beings are not purely themselves. Human beings are also samples of other human beings. Like me myself, I'm quite literally, right, a mix of my mom and my dad, which is a unique being, but it's also my mom and my dad. And everybody that I've come to respect, um, everybody that I've seen have success, some of their information is going to be driving what I do. And so, human beings, in terms of loving yourselves, a lot of the times humans are taught, especially by like coaches and, someone who like did ayahuasca once and then, 6 months later became a coach, right? These people, they're not showing you how to see yourself. They're just telling you to love yourself, and in a lot of ways it's really unfortunate because so much of the actual spiritual substance comes from being able to see yourself before you just start loving on everything. And the difference is very simple. The difference is like, that person, we all maybe know this type of person, where it's like they're like, we're all one, I love everyone, but they're like terrible when it comes to being called out. When someone asks to hold them accountable, they're like, oh, Adrian made it over to the yeah, I noticed I was over here in YouTube. Adrian must have found it, so welcome. um anyway, back to what I was saying is like, there's these types of people that are very like love everything, love everyone, and unfortunately, like, no human being is free of prejudice, right? The laughed after the coach comment sent me. Which coach comment? Oh, right, yeah. It is really funny because it's like the magic of spirituality is not in really loving yourself. It's in knowing which parts are yourself and which parts are called like samples from other people. And so that's what human design is going to help you out with. Human design is going to give you an opportunity to experiment and see, is this me? Right? Like if we pull up a body graph, and actually I want to go get a body graph that I can pull up. So I'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back. DC Cowboys. That's unfortunately not what this page is for. I'm sorry if that's a real thing, but there's just too many scams on this. So I'm gonna how do I get rid of that? There we go. Okay. I'm trying to pull up a body graph here. Let's Hold the body graphs. All right. So again, all you need to do is enter your information on my website and it will generate you one of these. Now, just having this, again, is like having a map. If you don't know how to read the map, then the map is not necessarily good for you, which is why I do these lives. I also do one-on-one sessions and I also have reports that will explain the map, right? But the fact is, if you have a map on your spiritual journey, you're going to get to where you want to go a lot sooner, right? And unfortunately, again, everyone wants how you say the quick fix, and it's very sellable, the like quick fix biohacking medicine journey, all that kind of stuff. And I'm over here selling the like, hey, be responsible and accountable to yourself and to other people. And that's, you know, just kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, so this one is my buddy Cody's chart, who we might do a live reading here with him in a minute. Um, we've been wanting to sync up on doing one of those for a while now. He's a good brother of mine, and yeah, we're gonna combine lives and read his chart just to show you guys kind of how this stuff works really, because it is very different than a how you say, like an astrological reading. I would imagine a lot of astrological readings are very different than what I do. But this will be the first time. This might be the doors of opening of do lives, um, live readings, which would be cool because yeah, it'd just be really cool. So we'll see how that is. And yeah, almost all the centers are defined. So one thing that's interesting about this chart, and one of the things that I look at, right, is what centers are defined and what is the person's lifestyle like. Because for instance, a person with this body graph typically will live a life that's very achievement focused and ego focused. And the reason that is because human beings we're all addicted to using our mind pressures to think and how to think about it. We typically will use that to navigate our lives. Whereas like this person with this body graph, they're supposed to be navigating with their emotions and with their sacral, not their mind. Their mind will trap them in here, and it will make life very much so about achievements and willpower and being in control and being the best and delivering the goods and stuff. Not to say that this person shouldn't be focusing on that area or shouldn't care about those things, but they should be caring more about their solar plexus, their emotional center, and their sacral, as those are, again, more reliable. And this is what I mean by like, you might hire a business coach. Um, no sound? Anyone else? Can anyone else hear me? Just curious. How about now? I did have voice isolation mode turned on so that the wind doesn't like whip you around. But okay, cool. So Fluffy Bunny can hear me. Is it tweaking? It might be my internet connection as well, because sometimes I live in the jungle, guys. I live in the jungle. So my internet literally it's like a 300-foot cable that runs from up at my stepmother's house. I don't like calling her mother-in-law. She's more of a mother-in-law than a stepmother, actually. Ugh. Yeah, mother-in-law's place. And so anyway, it sounds good. Okay, good. Happy to hear it. Thank you for the feedback. I live on Maui, actually. Although I really want to go to Big Island because I hear it's just lit there. Like Maui, I've been told is the water island, and Big Island, I've been told, is the fire island, which I like me some fire. I like the water more though. I'm a Pisces, so I really appreciate the water. Um, let's see, what were we just talking about here? Oh, right. So we were talking about like achievement, and this goes for anyone. Like whenever you have an undefined centers of this, um, it's like you got to be really mindful because this is able to absorb energy from all around. Fluffy Bunny, do you Zoom? Yes, I do Zoom calls with my readings, and you also get a PDF, right? So if you're interested in working with me and you know you want to do like a call, don't buy the PDF because that will be included with the reading. I mean, you could buy the PDF, but in that case, I'll probably be like, hey, who can I generate a PDF for? Um, in your life, right? So I need to get Starlink. Apparently has awesome internet connection there. I've been looking into that. That's funny. So that's a good point. I feel pretty health oriented with my open spleen. What if your viewpoint of the open spleen? So you can be very health oriented even with an undefined spleen. I'm a very health oriented person as well. The focusing that I'm talking about is like, for instance, with an undefined spleen, there's a part of me that's always like, there's always going to be some kind of like evolution to my health regimen and the things that I take. For somebody with a defined spleen, it's going to be a little bit more like, or their sense of health is going to be more focused on them. Spleen, great question, by the way. If you have, part of the power of an undefined center is being able to recognize the health or the quality of somebody's health, the quality of somebody's spleen through your spleen. So the reason why it's like, for instance, this, you would have like a I have that you do the uh, you might not want to focus too much on achievements and ego and stuff, is because you're very likely going to be trying to like prove yourself. And at least with this example, with the totally open heart, using achievements as your measuring stick. Now it doesn't mean that you can't consider achievements, but the highest consideration for somebody with this body graph really ought to be emotions and sacral energy. I wish I knew that you do readings. I already got a report and I have so many questions. It's like, it's for sure like that. Well, like I said, book a reading. And since you have your report, great. And what I usually do is when people already have their reports, you know, to for their partner or for, their children or something, I'll generate you another report. So I'll help you out. Have you ever seen correlations between astrology and human design? Yeah, so there's a lot of very interesting correlations. The difference, though, between astrology and human design, one of the primary differences is that, from my view, what's going on with astrology, and it might be different, is what I'm saying, but generally speaking, I've always understood astrology through light, and light has a very distinct way of light bounces off of objects, right? It reflects. That creates the body graph. These placements here, while you can lay them out and they are the same, like in terms of, if you look at the rave mandala or if you look at something like this, right? So you can see around here and in the inner ring, there are the constellations, but that's just for reference. That's not necessarily a doesn't necessarily contribute to the qualities of the definition. But human design works off neutrinos. This is what I've been attempting to say. Human design works off neutrinos in the sense that neutrinos are a different kind of particle. They're not like light. They don't bounce off of stuff. They go through things, and they actually carry mass and the ability to imprint on the things that they move through. Trillions of them are moving through your thumb. Multi-trillions, quadrillions are moving through your hand. Decatrillions of these particles are moving through your body, and sometimes they will interact with you. And when you're a baby being born for the first time, that's what solidifies specifically this black area over here. So Jeremy, 1-3 splenic projector, only transit struggle, but I'm a sleeping generator. Very interesting. So it's like, and we have dream charts, right? And are you a sleeping generator because of the transits? Because that's very interesting in that sense. I would also say, like, as a projector with the channel of struggle, that was one that I was talking about. That's this channel right here, right? 28, 30, 38. So it's like, this is a person who essentially, they understand their health and their life by way of risks and by way of you know knowing what risks to take and what risks not to take. My brother has this channel and he loves MMA fighting. I would recommend anybody with this to experiment with taking some kind of fighting class, boxing or jujitsu. You Muay Thai is awesome as well. So I would steer people away from. Not necessarily, but I think jujitsu and boxing are usually really great options for people. Jujitsu for the more um, yeah, no, I'll just say jujitsu and boxing. I teach kung fu. Freaking awesome, Jeremy. That's what I'm talking about. So, in a way, you've already found, a lot of that struggle in your life. And the one thing that's really cool about human design as well is like it doesn't matter what you feel about it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not about like, oh, do you feel like this design represents you? It's more like, hey, is this fuel source in your world being used or not? This is why I was just looking at jujitsu classes yesterday. Do it, do it. By the way, my best friend trains kung fu as well, and kung fu is lit. I love kung fu, um, Shaolin kung fu. Um, but yeah, Orpheus creature, definitely take the class. Take the class. Like and aside from a human design aside, like I think it's so important for human beings to be like healthily violent. Like human beings need to have a relationship with violence. Yeah. So currently we have gate 18 is what I was saying. The channel of struggle that we were talking about is this 2838 channel. But gate 18 right there is a channel that's in transit. As a projector, do you always honor the invitation only principle? So one of the things about projector invitations, strategies are designed to things that are correct for us. When it comes to not correct for you, you don't need an invitation to, you know what I mean? Like if you're in a shitty relationship and your spleen get out, right? You don't need your toxic partner to invite you out of the relationship. That's not that's it's to go into a relationship. And yes, I do honor that. And I do get on my projector friends like, hey, you're like falling really in love with this girl. When at what point did she invite you to like fully fall in love with her? And they're like, I guess she didn't. And I was like, all right, well, I can tell you how this is going to end. And because it's the thing about a projector, right? Is it's like this is a person who is built to guide. Same as a generator. Generators are built to be satisfied. So if there's anything in their experience that is inherently blocking their signature from manifesting, it's going to cause problems. And again, the strategy is the best way for us to stay in alignment with our signature or manifesting our signature. No, I mean, I struggle sometimes with the invitation when I want to help someone. I take a step back. Yeah, it's definitely like that because you'll have things in your head that can help people. One thing about projectors is that, according to Raw, projectors can invite other projectors, right? So, in a way, projectors can initiate on other projectors because they're operating in a similar kind of like auric penetration way. It's also just like one of those things like the guides can help the other guides because they have a how you say a similar experience with their undefined stake rules. So projectors can't be with other projectors. Then no, projectors can totally be with. Okay, yeah. Projectors can invite other projectors. Oh my god, I just joined in. I'm a projector. What's up, area? How do I find out what kind of projector I have or about like what type what their aura is? Just visit my website, plug in your information and it'll generate your body graph. Now, if you're a generator or manifesting generator, you have an enveloping aura, like it's pulling things towards you. Your strategy is to use your sacral to say, come closer, or stay away. That's generator and manifesting generator. Manifestors have the repelling aura, the blocked off aura, right? Their strategy is to inform people because if you don't inform people as a manifestor, everyone is just going to get naturally pushed away. Projectors have a penetrating aura, meaning you have to wait for an invitation. That's your strategy. Because if you penetrate without consent or without being invited, that unfortunately sucks. Reflectors, their strategy is to wait 28 days. Their aura opens and closes. So there's a lot of undefined centers in a reflector's chart, pretty much all of them. And that's that. And so, Orpheus creature, I hate informing. I'm basically mute. Right. So, manifestors that are bad at informing, there's a lot of like, again, built up anger. Because again, your aura doesn't care about how you feel or doesn't depend on what mood you're in. It's not like a mood ring. It's like a, hey, these are what centers are turned on. And if you don't learn to use them, right, unfortunately, you're going to be missing out on a lot of your own life, is what it is. You just blew my mind about the love relationship for a projector. Good. I'm Um, very happy about that. Uh, yeah, one of those things about relationships and human design is like you're really going to see things that you may have been avoiding looking at. Human design is one of those things, like I said, it doesn't care about your feelings. It's like, is this person, you know, one of the things that I do in my sessions is I ask them, like, what is your relationship with your emotions? That are like, try and like convince myself not to cry. And I'm like, problem. You don't need a retreat. You don't need drugs. You don't need plant medicine. You don't need another certification. You don't need any of that stuff. You really just have to like start accounting for what energies are already present in your life and find a way to manifest those things. Because the reality is, as well, a lot of us grow up in environments that are totally suppressing the manifestation. Like for this person is a manifesting generator. Actually, they're a generator. So this person right here, right? They may have grown up in a place where it wasn't safe to express or feel their emotions, and it wasn't safe for them to express their own desires or do the things that they wanted to do, right? The environment that they grew up in is not always going to be like, oh, tell us your desire. It's so wherever you're at, finding a in finding human design, again, it's an experiment. It's like, let's see if this works better than the things that you've done in the past, and if it does, learn more about it. That's why we start with two things: strategy and authority. Everyone is a manifestor. So in terms of everyone manifests things, yes, everyone is manifesting something. The body graph shows you what things are going to be consistently manifested through the throat and what channels are they going to take, right? And where are there going to be, for instance, like this white center, undefined areas where other people's energy can get put in there. You can also suppress your emotions and your sense of health and your own identity and manifest just your thoughts. It's just not going to be fun, right? So projectors can invite other projectors. Yeah, so that's something, you got to be really mindful with that as well, because when it comes to projectors and inviting projectors, one of the reasons why I tell people to, or tell projectors specifically to like really honor your doesn't invite you to something, but you really want to do it. If someone doesn't invite you to advice, but you really want to give them advice, like just don't don't go to the party. Don't give them advice, because what's happening is that person is taking up space in your life where people will show up if you create space, and they will invite you to things. Like the world is just wondering, like, how low do you want the bar set, and how high do you want the bar set? So for projectors, like if a projector invites you to something, right? Just because you get an invitation, what's up, Sadie? Just because you get an invitation from another projector, you still have to consult with your inner authority, and it's either going to be emotional, splenic, ego, self-projected, or mental, in which sometimes you might have to move through an emotional wave. Sometimes you're going to get the intuitive hit right away. Sometimes you're going to have to consider your will. Sometimes you're going to have to consider your direction, right? And your identity. Like, is this invitation suited for me and the person that I'm manifesting and creating? Sometimes you're going to have to consider the environment. That's part of why you have two things, so that they balance each other out: your strategy and authority. So what if a lot of these are white? Does it mean I'm easily influenced? Yes. But you don't have to be easily influenced, because the more that you are aware of these undefined centers, the more you can recognize, for instance, in this one, this undefined ego, the more you can recognize the achievements of others, recognize who's the best, who's in control, who's delivering, who was first, better these energies will be, because the only reason you're easily in is you think that this is supposed to be a factory that time, when in actuality this is more like an auditing office, or this is more like a reporting mechanism, or a sampling synth in music. Like, you're supposed to be able to take information from the external world, influences, and not be influenced by them, permanently, but to like experiment with them. So like for instance, my body graph, and I'll show you guys my body graph real quick, which it might trip you up a little bit because my body graph is um, fully undefined. Which any reflectors in the chat, drop a hello. Also, if you guys are enjoying this live, if you don't mind tapping the screen, I know it's weird, but um, there's my body graph. It definitely helps with the this number right here, and if the more people we can get to watch this, more people are going to be like, you know, considering how they can make their lives better with human design, and that's like what we want. We want people's lives to improve. Uh, So let's see. Cody asked me to check in and see if you're ready. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So what if the first triangle is white and the second triangle is green, but they're not connecting? So if you have that one undefined, that means you're subject to other people's inspiration and other people's problems. So probably trying to solve other people's problems, but you have your own unique way of like thinking about their problem. What is it like having everything undefined? So it's, it's funny because it's always different. Some days I feel like an emotional mess. Other days I feel like I'm not taking care of my health. Other days I feel like I'm manifesting the exact thing I'm supposed to be manifesting. Other days it feels like I'm not manifesting anything. So it's really fluid. And for me as a reflector, the deeper I've gone into my experiment, and I've been doing it for like 10 years, what I've really done is I've just given myself permission to not like need to be anything. And it's been really refreshing, right? To maintain that. And I've found things like make money, like keep myself healthy, compromise my chart or force me to do anything that's unnatural for me. And some people look at it and they're like, so you really just don't. And I've been telling people this a lot because I have been doing this, but I'm like, I don't do shit I don't want to do. If I didn't want to go live today, I wouldn't have done it. And people are like, oh, well, you can't always just do that. And I'm like, actually, you can, bro. Like, I'm doing it right. There's things that like are challenging for me to do, but I know it's necessary for me to do them. And because it's necessary, I want to do those things. Right. And it's it's taken me years to get here, guys. Like straight up. It's not like I just like started learning human design and I'm here overnight. I've been like learning and design for over a decade. I've been doing Reiki and on my spiritual path since 2012. Like I've been doing this for a long time and I'm only 31. I started pretty early. That's why I do this now because I want to share this information with people. Here I was feeling I was losing my mind, and yet here you are thriving undefined. It's total, and it's like, and what I did really, one of the main things that I did with being an undefined being is I went super hermit mode. Like I went far back. Like I didn't reach out to my friends. I was like, who's gonna reach out to me? Who's actually gonna reach out to me? And I had a couple people reach out to me, and now and like those are my best friends now, right? And I reach out to them now, but I did this sort of like leave the life that I was living so that I could build something new to make that old life obsolete. I'm new here. Do you mind explaining what each of these squares and triangles is representing? Totally. What does having a filled ego mean? So real quick, filled ego, and I'll start there. So this is the heart. This is where willpower and achievement and ego exists. Securing survival on the material plane and securing the hierarchy of society and structure on a material plane. If you find like you have energy to go the extra mile, you have the energy to prove yourself, are here to be the best or to be first or to be in control or to deliver things, right? That's what you're here to do. If it's undefined, you're here to recognize who's doing that. That's the heart, or that's the heart. This is the G center. This is the center of identity, direction, and love. So if you have a colored in G center, it means that there's going to be uh, like a sense of your identity, a sense of moving in the right direction. If yours is undefined, it means your sense of direction and identity is going to come from recognizing the direction and identity of other people. And you are very susceptible to like following the direction of other people because it's right for them, but it might not be right for you. Um, you do need the exact time. So if you can get that, awesome. If not, get this app. You can get it via the link in my bio. And there's a thing down here. It says changes within 12 hours. If you put noon on your birthday, you'll be able to like scroll back and forth and see what changes happen, and then you'll be able to use the app. So I have everything colored in except G center and heart center. What does that mean? Yeah, so like everything I just talked about, like your emotions are your emotions, your sacral energy is your energy. But these two open, your direction is probably not your own. Like you might be moving in a direction or building an identity that you saw externally, and now you're like thinking, oh, that's who I need to be. Or you might be competing or watching watching other people and comparing yourself, feeling less than because maybe you haven't achieved as much, and so you might be prove yourself, or looking for external sense of validation. Carolyn, I have to watch my interview with you again. Yeah, do you have to download it, because they do expire? If you didn't, just email me, Carolyn. And if you want to set up another session, definitely let me know, because what's really cool about working with a reflector is that part of having all of this lack of definition, if you meet with me once, my aura remembers you. And if you meet with me twice, I'll be able to see how far along the path, like how many of the things have you integrated from our last call, kind of stuff. So all my chakras are full except for the ego center and the solar plexus center with two gates. 1940. So that would define that center. Oh, center is with, got it. Okay, I got it. And yet I'm generator. Right, yeah. So this is the center that makes you a generator. For anyone curious, if this center is defined, this is called the sacral right here. This probably looks so funny on YouTube. Ariel, if you want to come to TikTok, I actually have a body graph here rather than just pointing into space. But if you have the defined sacral, that's what makes a generator. That's what gives us the now everyone has a sacral center, but not everyone is going to be defined sacral centers, right? Not everyone is going to have those regular experience sacral responses to life. Now, the definition, the create. So, for instance, you guys see these lines that are coming up here. These are called dormant gates when they're in undefined centers. If I were to have that gate active or that gate active, that would create a channel. So it's the channels that create definition in our body graphs, and I can show you more what I mean. On centers are connected. That's what creates definition. Reliable. This is going to be right. So the root is, this is where the pressure to do things comes. This is also where stress gets processed. So quite literally, the pressure to do things is stress, which is not a bad thing. Stress inherently is not a bad thing. Um, what you really have to understand is that stress, just like inspiration, they're pressures, right? And if you're pressure cooking food, you want pressure. If you're trying to relax, you don't want pressure, right? So it's about understanding how to relate to the pressure, relate to the stress, relate to the inspiration, and everyone is going to do that in a different way. So how often do you happen to see manifesting generators? So manifesting generators are about 30% of the population, and they differ from generators in this way. So everyone that has a defined sacral is a generator. But if you have one of these motor centers, heart, solar plexus, root, or sacral, connected to the throat by way of a channel in your body graph, that makes you a manifesting generator. I have all of them full, but the first triangle and the triangle from down left is also white. Why? So these are all really great questions, and there's a lot of them. So I'm doing my best to answer as many of them as I can. And also, this is what I have. I have this. Oh, we're getting close to coming up to the end here, but I have this live as a way of not only exposing people, but also being able to ask questions. But also, it's like, this is what I do for a living, and I have ways to access all this information. Like, what is my undefined sacral do? Like, literally in my report, it and that, but also all of this, and then other advanced. So yeah, I go live generally this month, and I guess you could say the October schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. Hawaii time, for roughly an hour, hour and a half. So these, contrary to what people say, are not about manifestation style. This is digestion, environment, perspective, and view. And they're very, how do you say, they're very nuanced in terms of, like, if you don't understand the body graph, these may not make sense to you. So I do talk about these in my sessions, but again, here don't really want to talk about them. But the top left arrow is digestion, which if you have the app and you scroll down, it'll literally tell you everything. So if I buy a custom human design report, what do I get? So you'll get a PDF, you'll get an email, um, that will literally just like explain all this. So like, what does gate 9.1 mean? What does gate 61.3 mean? What is a healthy throat do versus an unhealthy throat? What solar plexus do? What is your strategy? What is your authority? So the report is designed to be like a complete thing. Now you will probably be overwhelmed by it and have a lot of questions. Makes sense. This is like learning a new language, right? I highly recommend the report. At minimum, I receive. Yeah. So it's like, it's when it comes to the reports, like, they're designed to give you a lot of information, and but you're not it's not supposed to be like one sitting you just absorb it all, right? It takes a while to do it. So your chart will always be the same, but it will always also be subject to other people's energies on top of your energies, which the app design, I recommend getting it via the link, 25% off via the link in my bio. Highly recommend the app, especially for people that, like, you want to get your friend graphs. It's only $26 for the year with the 25% discount. And no, not everybody has the defined sacral. So this represents about 75% of the population, and then 30% of the population has an undefined sacral, which means similar to this undefined G center, where you might be looking for love and direction and an identity externally. Somebody with an undefined G center might be looking for satisfaction externally. These are typically people who end up like in relationships where, oh, we just do whatever my partner wants to do. I'm fine. I'm good. But then 15, 20 years later, they're like, I feel trapped, I'm not satisfied, blah 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 blah. Well, it's because you have an undefined sacral and you didn't live like it. So anyway, if you too are an MG, it's not good to date Gs or MGs. So that is like a thing that I would say, across the board. It's not like, oh, generators and manifesting generators don't do well together, right? Anyone can do well or not well with anyone. It's really about, again, being able to see yourself in the relationship, being able to see yourself in your life, accepting who you are, and then finding somebody who's actually compatible. Now, you can look at compatibility with this app, Neutrino Design. But again, it's not like, oh, if you have like a lot of electromagnetic channels, that's the perfect relationship, because again, not everyone is living and manifesting their designs. Sometimes people are living out what's called their not self. Your strategy and authority are here to help you manifest your signature: satisfaction, peace, surprise, success. Avoid manifesting your not self: frustration, anger, disappointment. So if you follow your strategy and authority, like, that's the key with this. And with the app tells you your strategy and authority. My reports will also tell you your strategy and authority. And it's really just a matter of, again, you living out the experiment, right? What's the not self channel from the 360? So if you have this 360, it means that you're going to have a consistent sense of pressure, your limitations, and then three, which is the pulse of mutation. So the way this works, water rippler, well done. Very end the not self relationships. Yes. Romantic relationships, I would imagine. Yes. And that shit. Um, but if you have that channel, it's like, when you feel the pressure, when you feel your limitations, the not self thing would be to attempt to, like, transcend the limitations or ignore the limitations. The signature thing to do with this 360 channel is to be aware of the pressure, and then be aware of when your sacral is like, okay, it's time to break through. And this is actually where melancholy comes from. I forget who asked about melancholy, but melancholy is partially due to this. It's the feeling of coming up against your limits and knowing that, like, maybe there's a lot of pressure that's building up, but not necessarily being time to transcend the limits or overcome the limitation. That comes from the 3. Now, if you have a body graph like this, where you just have the 6, typically it's going to be like you're going to feel the pressure, but what's going to happen is usually you're going to have to wait for someone with the 3 or some kind of transit activation to actually overcome that limitation. And again, this is like these are all theories until you real world and see them for yourself, even though I've tested them out in my life. So you have to test this out in your life. And again, that thing, that's something that I would typically do in one of my sessions of like talking about that kind of. My 3955 feels so chaotic. That's this one right here. It's supposed to feel chaotic. Emotions are like the chaos center. This is where transformation happens. And there's Cody.
Yo, what up, bro? You ready for me?
What up, homie?
Are you ready, or am I interrupting?
Oh, hold on a second. What's up, man?
Yo, what up, my dude?
Dude.
I'm not interrupting someone's reading, am I?
No, I don't even do readings.
Oh, good. Okay,
here.
good. You don't do them live. That's right.
I mean, I might start doing them though, guys. So what's up, everyone? This is Cody. Beautiful
Yo,
human
what's up,
being.
everybody? This is Marco.
What's up, y'all? I think this is this your chart? No, no, that's Nick. I was using your chart earlier. But me and Cody have been riffing back and forth about doing a live human design reading. It's Cody Keenan or Cody Shepard?
Cody Keenan.
Keenan. Okay, there we go. So there's your
Yes,
body
sir.
graph. Yeah, I was using this earlier. It's funny. I feel like we have a lot of like similar people in your audience that are in my audience, which I love because yeah, it's just great. Cody is not Maui. Not currently. He might be in the next couple of years though.
Yeah, maybe. No, I'm in Arizona, guys. I'm out here in northern Arizona in the high desert.
Well, hey, I gotta run to the bathroom real quick, but I'll be right back. We're gonna do
Okay,
a little drop in on Cody's chart live, so everyone can kind of see what we talk about. And yeah, I'll be right back after the pee break.
I'm excited, guys. Yeah, I wonder what happened to Sadie though. Sheesh.
All right. Are there comments separate? Do our comments like compile together, or
I don't think that they are combined, but isn't there a way that we can do that?
I think so. I think it's if we. No, we're hosted here.
I think it may be because I invited you into my live. Maybe if I end my live and then if I like request to join yours.
Let's do that.
I think, yeah, let me do that real quick. Hold up.
I've watched the both of you from Aotearoa, New Zealand. What's up, Tracy? Chit. I learned that from Auntie Eilish. I don't know if you follow her. She's a New Zealand based creator. She's freaking hilarious. I love her. But she's awesome. I think she's a projector, if I remember correctly, which is wicked cool. Which, by the way, like every body graph is valuable, but only when it's active. Like, not to say there's nothing valuable about a not self human being, but the only thing a not self human being is good for is to let us know where we can actually be manifesting our signature. Yeah. Good shit. I've lived on Maui for like 4 years now, and so a lot of made their way into life. And New Zealand and Aotearoa and Hawaii is, they're all island cultures. So, all right, let's see, Cody, where's that? How do I get to that request? I remember at one point we were like really we had like a group of guys and we were like really trying to figure out how to do all this. Okay, here we go. Accept. There we go.
But why am I a little freaking square, dude? What is this? That ain't gonna work. What the heck?
Welcome to being a guest in my life as a
Dude, what is this? Dude, no, I don't like that.
Oh,
what the heck?
now I'm little.
Okay, I think I liked it better with.
Let's co-host. Wait, hold on.
Right.
Before I third line over this, let's see if there's a happy medium here. I
like the Brady Bunch, dude.
I know, right? Okay, let's just co-host it. Let's go.
Okay, I'll go get my live going again and then invite you.
Okay, let's do it. That's so fun. I used to get like so nervous on doing live things because I was so such a perfectionist. And then human design helped me out. I found out I'm a 3-5, which is it's like literally like, hey bro, make mistakes and create solutions through making mistakes. And so yeah, this is better, right, Cody?
Yeah, this is better. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, what's up, baby? What's up? Lives are very freeing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. There's lots of shifts lately, man. The energy is just like, shift after shift, dude. Release after.
I feel it.
That's how I've been feeling lately, man.
How's that tribal emotional wave been treating you?
I'm not sure. I think good. I'm trusting, dude. Lots of trust in the process has had to be applied, man.
Yeah, big time.
You know, just over, especially the last like 3 to 5 days, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, one of the things I talk about pretty often is, especially with this defined solar plexus, and you know, having the defined solar plexus is really like when you have emotional waves, like those are windows for you or opportunities really to like go into the cryo chamber, like be with those emotions. Don't attempt to, you know, soothe it away or smoke it away or drink it away. Like you can use medicine, but use the medicine to amplify whatever it is that you're feeling. Because it's almost like, you know, a lot of the times the mind will like sort of like interrupt that emotional process, right? And especially because you have the defined head and ajna. It's probably really good at that. And then also just kind of like, you know, knowing your upbringing and everything. But the emotions oftentimes are really the things that are designed to help break these mental paradigms, right? And it's like when you how you say attempt to you know pacify the emotions, or you avoid the emotions, that is ultimately what creates those kind of like repetitive emotional waves where it's like, oh, now I gotta like redo kind of like, it's like the water just has to get out of your body is really what it comes to when it comes to emotions and trauma and all that stuff. All the old stories, all of that stuff is stored as water in the body. And so tears or sweat, like when you're boxing, right? That's like that's the way to get it out. That's what to get it out.
Wow.
And the charts can help us in that way, because like, for instance, you know, this channel right here, this is about revolution, but it's also about tribal circuitry. So it's like, does everyone have what they need? Right. And if you don't have what you need, that triggers an emotional wave. If one of your children or one of your friends doesn't have what they need, that will trigger the emotional wave. And really what it comes down to, especially with this one, because this is really about revolution. This is like, if you don't have what you need, I'm gonna go get what you need, right? But sometimes it comes through like accepting the truth, which is the emotional center is really all about the truth, by going through that. No, I've done everything I can to give you everything you need, and at the end of it, you'll realize even though I've done everything that I can think of or that I'm able to do to give you what you need, you still don't have what you need. And so with the emotional wave, right, it's this churning where it's like you kind of have to like get all of the lies up and out on the table, or all of the stories up and out on the table. Then once they're all up, move through whatever like facing of that reality you have to do, and then that's when the clarity comes in, and then that's when it's like, okay, now I know what the next step is. But again, a lot of people
Right.
are not willing to put those things on the table. Makes a lot of sense, because sometimes you put something on the table, and if someone else is around and they see, they're like, what do you mean, like, you don't want to do these things? This is what I need. And that's why I always usually say, like, process your emotions on your own, you know, or like,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, dude.
it's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
That was
Man,
kind of like,
how did you give me so much to think about in a short period of time?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I was gonna ask. I was like, okay, how like deep do you want me to cut on this one? Because I'm gonna I'm just gonna go.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people needed to hear that.
I hope so, man. And you know, I need to hear it too as well. And you know, our charts are very different, bro. You know, mine is, I don't have this solar plexus stuff. Generally speaking, you know, I'm not really moving through a lot of emotional waves, and that's part of what makes me really able to kind of like, you know, give like really clear counsel in this way, is because I can recognize when people are moving through emotional waves, and when they're like kind of
Mm,
holding on to the coral reef, like just trying to survive the wave. I'm like, no, like,
mm,
this is the juice of life. This is the gift. This is the you know, the thing that makes life worth living, and ultimately builds your connection with spirit, builds your connection with God, and makes your relationships more honest and open. But you have to go through those waves. And so because of that undefined solar plexus of mine, it also sometimes, like, sometimes I don't even know what I'm feeling, and sometimes
mm,
my relationships don't feel like they have any juice, or that it's always about the other person. And so, you know, whereas, you know, your perceived struggle might be one of like, wow, there's all these intense emotions. My perceived struggle is sometimes like, dude, sometimes I just don't really like feel at all. And I'm like, wow, everyone else gets to feel all these things. And I'm like, I haven't had a good cry in a while. And I have a you know, a pretty attuned sense of like when I'm moving through emotions. But sometimes I'll move through emotions and they'll literally just be like, you know, it's not like, yeah,
mm.
oh, it's like, oh man, I'm
Right.
feeling really emotional about this. Let me start crying. I'll get one tear out, and then I'm just like, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't mine. Damn it. Okay. It's really weird. And I don't necessarily like envy the thing. Sometimes, dude, I'll be sitting in states of just like, next truth, when does the next veil come up, and like really anything like tangible, like an emotional wave or catharsis,
Mm,
or a sacral hit, or anything to really like let me know that that veil has been lifted. And so again, emotions,
right.
while they are like very inconvenient, you know, there, I like to talk about this like 7-year deconditioning process of like, you know, you have to spend a lot of time tracking your yourself to really gain a sense of self-awareness. It's not going to happen in a year or two. You know, it's and even at that 7-year point, it's, you know, there's still going to be so many things um to learn how to track, and to say, you don't want to be in this emotionally defined space, honey. I'm like, you don't want to be in this emotionally undefined space. That's what's beautiful about this, because then we can like actually be in our spaces and learn to see it and accept it, because there's still a lot of me that's like, in a way, in a weird type of way, envious of the thing that I don't have.
Mm,
And I feel like a
right.
lot of, we all suffer from that. And the more we can appreciate each other, you know, like, I appreciate your emotional waves and the intensity of it all, you know, hopefully that gives you like a foothold to come into deeper witnessing and appreciation of your own wave. And then that's why we like really need each other, and we need community to be able to turn us on to the things that we are not turned on to in our bodies. Because, you know, and it's like you can't see yourself without a mirror. And so everyone, but it's not like an exact reflection. You know, there's in there's your trauma, my trauma. And so it's like a more like a water, you know, or a river, because it's a distorted one, and not distorted in a bad way, but like nothing is really good. We're never going to meet someone that's like a perfect mirror for us. Even as a reflector, I'm not a perfect mirror for people, but I'm definitely better than how you say, chat GTP, you know.
Yes.
Like, people have been talking about like asking Chat GTP questions, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all, but also not cool. Like it's it's like Chat GTP, especially like right now where it's like still in a state of learning. It doesn't have the capacity really to offer anything more than data. And so much of human design is not about data points. It's about lived experiences. It's about relating. Like we're not looking to get to the answer. Really, we're looking to like ask the right questions or ask better questions. And also, yeah, ask your inner authority, not Chat GTP. But it does work sometimes. But also, especially if you don't know anything about human design, asking Chat GTP is like danger zone.
Oh yeah, dude. You should be asking Chat GPT for like things like help me write out this plan for a retreat.
Right.
That type of stuff. Yeah.
So there's good things for Chat GTP, does really well. And yeah, and someone said too is like if you ask advanced questions or you ask like very specific questions, it does. And again, I'm not knocking Chat GTP in the sense that it can give good answers and accurate answers. It's just again, there's so much more to be had, and it's not just about collecting information. About like in the chat, people are like, ask within exactly. What age are you guys in? So I'm 31.
I'm 31.
We're 31s. We're in the 31st.
Yeah, we're 31s. Yeah. We're on the level 31, man.
We're on level 31. And then you've got what? Like three beings like under level 5, right? What is it?
Oh, actually 721.
721. Okay, so you got how you say three companions. I got one little companion. She's about to be 2. Oh my god, I am the youngest millennial. Can you see this chat, bro, or no?
I can't, which is so annoying.
Oh, that is a bummer, bro. What is up with that? Level 31 was learning experience for me, yeah. And it's like, and what's cool too about human design is because I've studied astrology, I've studied Reiki, sound healing, all this stuff. It just makes everything better. Like it creates like a much needed language to like talk and traverse these planes, because otherwise it's like like I love ragging on like twin flame and like soulmate and how they're like different things, but you can kind of use them interchangeably. But it's really just like like the spruce tree. Why is that a spruce tree? It's like, well, someone just named it that, so that's what we call it. And having like a familiar language is both, again, inhibiting in the sense of like sometimes the definition is inhibiting, but then also sometimes the lack of definition is inhibiting. So yeah, it's a good time to do human design in your 30s or approaching your 30s, because that is really where like this whole Saturn return coming up against your limitations is like really present. And if you have a map to help navigate, like, hey, these are some of the limitations that you're going to come up against, and it's not like you're being punished, it's like, hey, this is kind of, in a way, this is like your contract, what you contracted into. You're either going to learn how to accept and love this thing. That's your job in this life, is to accept and love this energetic affirmation. And if you don't, you're just going to be frustrated and angry your entire life. So yeah, it's nuts. My Saturn return was a baby, so it's very intense.
Thank you for the gifts, y'all.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. So how did I get my human design education? So I literally just read the book. I was just like, I read the book, I used the app, and then I was already studying Reiki for like maybe like 3 or 4 years before learning about human design. And so I kind of applied that to human design, and it helped me learn it. I also just love, like, I was the kind of kid that would like I'd get like a Lego or a toy, and then I wouldn't like I'd build the thing, but then I would like take it apart and then combine it with other things and like build like super Bionicles or super Legos.
Bionicles, dude. Oh my gosh. That was my favorite toy,
dude,
bro.
That was the best toy. This is the book, guys. Man. Dude, Bionicles were lit, bro.
The best, bro. You're the first man I've ever heard reference Bionicles, bro. No. I just became Dude. Wow, I just had flashbacks of all the Bionicles I used to have.
Dude, I used to have so many. I used to have so many, bro. Yep, the like ball guys.
Remember these ones? The ones that
Yep.
they like turned into a circle. They were like a globe.
Yep, they were bad guys,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
Weren't they like bad guys?
I think Bionicles were kind of villains, yeah.
Well, no, the circle guys in particular.
There was good and oh yeah, those were the bad guys, yeah.
And then they had the dudes with like the alien looking head with the like little worm guy in it. That was...
Yes. Dang, somebody over here said the movies were fire as well. I don't remember the movies.
You haven't seen the movie, bro? Go.
No.
Dude, the movies. There's a movie. It's dope.
So I have some things I want to ask about human design. Bro.
Yeah, please do.
So can human design kind of be, I mean, it plays off of the zodiac sign in a way, right? Or no?
So it doesn't play off zodiac signs, but it is like you can put the maps on top of each other and they kind of
okay. So do you believe that there are two individuals that have two different charts? Like, do you believe that there's situations where somebody with this chart and somebody with that chart just could never make something work between one another, like in regards to, or would that just be a lack of understanding and a lack of like willingness?
It's a little of both, you know. It's like there's definitely like chart compatibilities that are a lot more challenging than others, which in a way it's almost like the more challenging the compatibility, the more opportunity for chemistry in ways.
Okay,
but
that makes sense.
It's so, how you say, it really is dependent on the dynamic. So like, for instance, somebody with like a lot of electromagnetic connections, like if they had the completing gate for this, right, and then they had the completing gate for that, and then they had the completing gate for that, and there were all these like electromagnetics, like they fill in all of your squares, you know, be really healthy in the sense that it's like, you know, you guys are a power couple, but you don't lose a sense of yourself. But then also it could be one that's like very distracted from you guys living your own life. And by dynamic, what I mean is like some couples do better and they're separate most of the time, and they come together to do certain things like raise children or connect intimately or work on projects. Like, so it's like these arenas where you're gonna work together have to be very intentional and very defined in ways, because part of what is magical about relationships is that we help define each other, right? Or we help define arenas where we can be together. So it's very much so one of these things where, like, yes, you can look at a chart and be like, wow, these people are going to have a lot of, and it's not necessarily chemistry or conflict, it's like potential chemistry or conflict in these areas, because in a lot of ways chemistry and conflict are kind of born of the same things colliding, right? Or alchemy happening.
Right.
And so having the proper expectations, I think, is super important, which is why, like, I'll do composite readings for people, and, you know, I'll be able to call the dude out on stuff like this, like, hey, look, this is how you do things, stop judging her for not doing things like this, right? And they're like, but that's the way I do things, like, and that's not going to work. And I'm like, I understand, but they don't live up here, you do. They live down here. When's the last time, like, you thanked her for moving through an emotional wave type shit? So I just be calling people out all the time in my readings, especially in couples, and I do my best to keep it pretty balanced. But you know, again, it's one of those things where it's so kind of disarming for some total stranger to be able to look at a relationship and look at a body graph and just immediately know, like, oh, like for this one, you know, you're not going to be satisfied by her mental stuff unless she probably has that channel as well. And there might be, and just by being clear, there have, you know, it's like conditioning by proximity, you know. So it's like, you know, and I know some people who have, you know, again, their head and ajna are defined, their partner is not, and they're like, they're just not stimulating enough. And I'm like, well, they're not designed to be stimulating in that way. They're designed to be like stimulating in this way, or they're designed to be more chill in this way. So it's about, you know, seeing ourselves, so we can love ourselves, but then also seeing the other person and in their uniqueness and in also the ways that, like, again, oh, you have gills and you can breathe underwater. I have wings and I can fly, right? So I'll pick you up out of the water, but not for too long because you need to freaking breathe underwater. And I'll go underwater and hang out with you, but not for too long because I don't have gills. So it's really, again, the dynamic is the key. And a lot of the time people are wanting to be closer together, and they think that means that they have to be physically closer together, when usually the opposite is true. You actually need to create more distance so that you can appreciate each other more.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful words, man.
Great question.
Yeah. Because I get that. I just noticed that with people are always like asking that question, even in my live when I'm doing like oracle readings or tarot readings. It's always like,
yeah,
is this the right one?
Right.
It's like you kind of gotta, to a certain level, I believe that you gotta make somebody the right one to a certain level.
Right.
Yeah,
or you got to accept that maybe they're not the right one.
Maybe
and
that
you
they're
really
just not
want the
right.
right one right now, but it's not this
Right.
one. Yeah, that's
right.
I got that question a little bit before we hopped on together here, and they were like, are MGs not supposed to date other MGs? And I'm like, it doesn't matter who you date. You just have to date somebody who you're going to date somebody who is, like, let's say you're like 50% yourself. You're probably going to date someone who is 50% themselves.
Right.
And-
And MG, you're referring to manifesting generator, right? Say MG.
Exactly.
Okay.
People in the chat are like, damn, this is like therapy today.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this worked today. Because when I saw you were live, I'm like, oh, maybe it's today.
Dude, I felt it too.
Yeah,
I had and it's funny too, because, like, my family, my partner and our daughter, and Emerald, my partner, her sister, is in town, and they're going to the beach today. And there was part of me, especially with my undefined nature, that was like, oh, I should be spending time with my family, etc. But then there was also that part of me that's like, no, I know what I need to be doing today, and I need to be going live, not only because this is something that, like, lights me up and it's part of my income, but also
Absolutely.
it's like, yeah, so there was something extra about, like, going live today, and definitely this was it. So my partner is a splenic projector. She's a 5-1 splenic projector, and our daughter is a 5-1 emotional manifester. So we have, like, all the non-sacral beings in our family. And yeah, and then but yeah, so it was like go to the beach today. It's insanely beautiful today. But yeah, something in me was like, oh yeah, follow your thread, Marco. And this one thing about human design is it's very empowering, in the sense that it's like we each have our own unique threads to follow, and when we are not following those threads, after a while, right, like, we lose touch with what those threads are. Human design, again, is just like the trail of breadcrumbs, which is a terrible example because birds eat up bread, but then you're just surrounded by birds. But, like, being able to get back on thread. Yeah. Someone asks if I'm in haiku. So I'm in haiku. Yeah. And I live on Maui. If you ever want to hang out, apple juice, well, send a message. I see the 808. I don't hang out with a lot of people, to be straight up. I do a handful of, like, community things, so I'd be open to meeting in community spaces. But I'm generally, like, a really private person because of my partner is super private as well. But then also, just for my design, like, if I'm hanging around with too many people, it's it pulls me out of my thread. I, like, end up working on their business. I end up working on their relationships and not necessarily my own. And so it's part of my self-care regimen to not really do and see a lot of people.
Yeah, I second that, my friends.
Yeah.
I see the most people on live.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm communicating and talking to most people, or it's community events, man. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Yeah. And I think, and it's interesting too, because part of super interesting question. Would you say crustaceans have the design of insects? I would, because I think they're insects. Very interesting question.
What am I? What is my chart?
Like, so you're a generator, and I thought you were a manifesting generator because you have the throat defined, but you don't actually have any channels any motors connecting to the throat. So this is one nuance that actually a lot of people are kind of like confused about, because it's like, okay, so I'm a manifesting generator, so does that mean like I'm a manifester and a generator? And it's sort of like um kind of like, no, you're a generator with manifesting channels. So you're just a pure generator, but these are the four motor centers. Sacral is going to be like the energy to satisfy and build something satisfying. This here is the ego. This is the energy to like enforce your will on the world or achieve things. This is a solar plexus energy to confront the truth. It's also awareness of emotions. And then this is the root, which is energy to move forward, keep things going, build momentum. It's also the aware, or the pressure, specifically stress. So when either of the four motors are connected through the sacral, so like for instance, if you had this would be a manifested channel, right? And what the thing about manifested channels is, when there are pulses of energy from this emotional center, something is going to get manifested, right? For you, that's not necessarily the case, right? Like you have this connected to this one's connected to that. This spleen is not an energy center, and then these four are all connected. So in a way, it's like your sacral pulses are really more so to help you refine your identity through transcending or traversing mundane and extreme spectrums, right? If something, sometimes things are really chill, sometimes things are really intense. But as long as you're like taking care of your own kind of health, your health and the depth of your health is the thing that gets manifested when this sacral is responding properly. Now, the difference between like a generator and a manifesting generator is, again, the manifesting generator will have one of these motors connected to the throat, and that's going to make the manifestations like much more instant, right? And in some instances, the manifesting generator is actually going to be the one initiating. Uh, with the type of a generator, they're still want to manifest something and want to, like, share something or start a project or do anything, but their sacral has no energy for it. If they have something but they don't have any energy for it, it's not going to work out. Different from a manifester, which doesn't matter if they have energy for it, because they're not necessarily the ones that are going to be supplying the energy. They're initiating as a means of saying, who has the energy for this? But a manifesting generator, again, they have to bring the energy with their manifestation, because otherwise they're going to end up frustrated. They're going to be working on a project and have no energy for it. So for the throat has to be connected to one of these motor centers to be a manifester. And if that's the case and the sacral is defined, that's what makes a manifesting generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had school today, baby.
So what is not ideal? Well,
yeah. No,
what
we
would be
talk
well,
about
yeah,
ideals.
what would be the ideal like lifestyle, I guess, would be for a generator? Could you answer that question? Or what would a like an ideal lifestyle for a manifesting generator?
Yeah, so typically beings with the sacral defined, the ideal lifestyle typically for those types of people is to have like, and it's usually about like mornings and nights. What you do in between is like, again, it can be like, oh, if this satisfies you, then do that. If that satisfies you, then do that. But generally speaking, the defined sacral wants to get up and get into it. So it's like, for instance, and it doesn't have to be like get up and then start working out. It can be like get up and burn incense, right? Your affirmations. But it's like it knows exactly from the point of waking up, like we're on and we want to make coffee, or we want to make tea, or we want to do this thing. Which coffee is a funny example, and actually I want to pause and talk about that, because when it comes to the sacral and the let me get that is typically very associated with things that are like not good, like, oh, I'm seeking satisfaction, right? And the more you tune into your sacral, if you're not supposed to drink coffee every day, one day you're going to drink your coffee and be like, ugh, right? And so this is the thing where it's like, the more you tune into the sacral, it's not just this immediate grab, immediate satisfaction. It's like, we've been drinking coffee for like 10 days, and like, yeah, we need the energy, but it's like bogging down our adrenals. Now, with that being said, again, you might find something like tea or like a movement practice or a breathwork practice that could kind of like how you say, be more satisfying and be more substantial and sustainable long term. And that's what life is about. It's about figuring out, especially for a generator, figuring out the things that satisfy you by way of noticing what frustrates you and noticing what your sacral is. Ew. Right. And so like you do it really good. You go, when you feel things, you're like, when you don't feel things, you're like, like, right. Like you're paying attention to it. And it's a very like, how you say, like and are like very similar, and that's why it's like you have to pay attention. Like that is again, the job is paying attention to your body. Doing the work is really paying attention to that. So for everyone that's sacral defined, right, generators and manifesting generators, like what is your morning thing? Like when you wake up, what does your sacral want to do? What's the most satisfying thing? Go do that, right? What do you actually
Oh
have
God,
energy
thank
for?
you. God, I needed to hear this right now, dude. Oh my
have
gosh,
you been
dude.
have you been putting
Yes.
off something or what?
No, I just, dude, like, because man, I have to spend a lot of my time around people that are asleep to a
Yeah.
lot of things in life, bro. And so I get lost in other people's energy when I'm around somebody that is not attuned to their body. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally.
I get kind
Especially
of
being
like,
being a defined sacral being, if you're around somebody that is, not taking care of their health, you're gonna look at that and be like, I could eat you if I wanted to. Why am I actually hanging out with you?
right. So, like, that fine sacral for me, bro.
Mhm.
When I'm like, for who I've been having to be around, bro, like, that me wanting to get up and get right into it is conflict for them because they do not want to do that, and they are like wondering why I just don't want to relax. But I am just like, but now hearing that, I'm like, dude, I literally need it. I need it for my health.
Mhm.
I literally need to get up and burn my incense and make tea immediately. Immediately. I don't have any time to waste, really.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
And
and
so hearing that was just like a confirmation, like, dude, no, I'm not freaking crazy and I'm not like a workaholic. I just want to freaking get going. I want to like do what I got to do and I want to get connected as fast as I can.
yeah, and then also it's like, for instance, if like you share the same bed, which I generally have a rule of thumb of like, hey, look, the best relationships, in my opinion, they only sleep together in the same bed like once a week, twice a week, maybe. I have a great relationship.
Yes.
We never sleep in the same bed. I actually, funny story, bro. Emerald invited me up to like see our daughter's like nightly routine, which she's just like a kooky little crazy animal, which is hilarious, and I love that I got to see it. But then it was like time for her to go to sleep, and Venus, my daughter, was literally like, "Dad'll go, Dad'll leave bed, Dad'll go sleep in bus," because she was like, "I'm trying to sleep. You need to get out of here. You're not
Ah,
messing with me,"
yeah.
which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the things is like, and I look at one of my past relationships. I was dating a manifesting generator, emotional authority, similar chart to yours, and she was the type of person. She was at, and the thing, again, we all have different seasons in life, so sometimes like it will be the most satisfying thing for a generator in the morning is to just lay in bed for half an hour, especially if
Right,
it's
for sure.
like, but again, that's a season. Once you get through the kind of like healing season and showing yourself like, oh, it's okay if you like stay in bed for a little bit, eventually there's going to be something that's more satisfying for you than staying in bed. Jen, is what I've observed. But I noticed myself as a non-sacral being, right, as a reflector with a manifesting generator, when she's lying in bed, my sacral is like buzzing. I'm like, I want to get up, I want to run the beach, I want to go do things, which is, it's not necessarily like atypical. Like it's not like wrong for a sacral or a projector, reflector, or manifestor, a non-sacral being, to like get up and do things. But it's like, generally speaking, for projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, it's really wise to like at least spend a couple minutes laying in bed, touching your body, like more like slowly kind of like waking up, as opposed to the generator where it's like use the energy right away, get up. For the sacral, for the non-sacral beings, it's like sometimes I have the energy, sometimes I don't. And if I don't, I'm not going to force the energy. I'm going to like kind of be here in this liminal space, this undefined space for a little bit longer and accept that. But dude, in that relationship, I was always waking up like, I'm ready to go. I want to run the beach. And I would look at her and I would just be like so disgusted. We spent a lot of time, you're not taking care of your health. And it was just so much judgment, bro. The bullshit, dude. I wasn't going. I was like, oh, you're because, you know, maybe when you wake up, we can make love. But maybe when you wake up, we can go run together. You know, it was like maybe when you do things together. And so, yeah, it was just one of those things where, you know, and I could have been really sweet about it. Like, hey, I love you. I'm going to go run the beach. Have enjoy your resting. I'll be back.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And so one of the things I always try to think about, especially when like there's something that I have to do that there's some kind of resistance to overcome. You know, one of the things I think about is style, bro. Because it's like, and I learned this from an audio tape back when I was like doing network marketing stuff. All the personal development that they shove down your throat with network marketing. It's actually super good. But anyway, this guy Jim Rohn, he would talk about how his daughters would come up to him and they would ask him for money. Right. And they'd be like, we want to go to this concert. I want, you know, can we get $40 to go to the concert and stuff like that? And he goes, I had really poor style. I was like, you know, like, well, who's going to the concert? Like, who's going to take you? I was like, I ended up giving them the money anyway. But the key was he goes, I wanted to have better style because I realized that I was still giving them the money. I was just being a grump about it, you know? So rather than because then he's like, and then the next time there was a concert of one of the artists that came into town, instead of waiting for them to come to me, because I knew they were going to come to me, I bought them tickets, I put it in an envelope, and I surprised them with it. And so again, it's like one of these things is like you still got to do the thing that you got to do, and it's going to be however challenging, or it's going to be, you know, an expense or something. But if you can at least have good style about the way that you deliver it, again, that just I personally, and I've done this a lot, especially with having a partner and a baby. It's like, oh, we need this, and I'm like, God, we don't really need that. You know, we really don't need that. And I'm like, but she thinks we need it, and so she's gonna keep asking. And so why don't I just have really good style about it and just give it in a good style, and then also realizing, oh, it's not that we can't afford it or it's too expensive. It's that I can't afford it. I need to make more money. It's not, oh, I wish inflation wasn't as bad and prices were cheaper. It's like, okay, how do I just make more money? How do I render more, make more money? And that's always what it is. It's like, don't wish your problems were smaller, like wish they were just bigger. It's in a similar vein of like styles, bro. Style.
Yes. Right, bro. Damn, man. So when it comes to human design,
yeah,
is trauma a part of it? Like, is that put to account, like in the chart? Like, no? Do we talk about trauma when it comes to human design?
I do. I definitely do. You know, in normal, or as you say, stereotypical human design communities, they call that conditioning, right? And what they look at
conditioning,
is
right.
Where have you, like, for instance, with this undefined heart, this would probably be for you your most vulnerable point of conditioning, which is really asking the questions like, are you the best? Are you in control? Are you delivering the goods? Are you first? You know, very much so like ego kind of driven things. And ego in the sense that, like, it's the ego, the existing structures, the traditions, it's those things that take care of the tribe, right? But when it comes to like being an individual, the heart it only has one individual channel, which is this one right here. It connects it to the identity center, which is a point of like a lot of like mysticism and like self-initiation and initiating others. But I digress. When it comes to trauma, these undefined centers are usually the main points that get traumatized, because what happens is like you're a being that in terms of ego is like, bro, as long as like everyone has what they need in your family, you know, because there's that in there. Like, you don't have to have the nice car, you don't have to be the best, you don't have to be all of that, but you're going to think that you need to be, because part of your circuitry, you're going to be very aware of who is the best, who is the first, who is the one that's delivering the goods. And then this is where the comparison comes in. Well, so and so is delivering the goods, I need to be delivering the goods, right? As opposed to so and so is delivering the goods and it just being, there's an attachment of a story of like, I need to be that way in order to be the best, or to, you know, there's this competition that sets in. And so each of these defined centers, or each of the centers, has an undefined not self theme. So if you have the undefined head, right, you might be trying to solve everyone else's problems. If you have the undefined ajna, you might be trying to convince people that you're certain. And these are it's not to say that you won't have these problems because your centers are defined. It's more so for you is going to be the not self is like, hey, look, you're not giving yourself enough space to explore these ideas that you want to explore. You're not like, you don't have anywhere to express those details, right? You don't have a place for these channels, as opposed to these undefined centers, which is going to be more so like, you're externalizing, or the value is supposed to be externalized, in the sense that, like, these undefined centers, you're supposed to be able to recognize, right, other people's problems, other people's way of thinking, other people's way of getting attention, not comparing yourselves to them. It's a contrast, not a comparison, right? And so with this, if you have the undefined throat, that might be like always doing things for attention. Undefined G center, always looking for love and direction outside of yourself. Undefined sacral, not knowing when enough is enough. Undefined solar plexus, this one is like avoiding truth and confrontation. Undefined spleen, hanging on to things that are not good for you. Undefined root, that might be like, rushing through things just to relieve the pressure. The defined trauma, like, you have all these defined centers. So the way that trauma will show up is, you're not allowed to feel that. You're not allowed to want that. You're not allowed to go right now. We're not ready to go yet, right? You're not allowed to do that. That's not healthy. It's other people putting that, like, or you making yourself small so that other people's definition has room to, quote unquote, rule your life, right? And so it's by the same way. Trauma typically is from other people, but also it's like in the same way that, like, when you break a bone, your bones will heal back stronger if you take care of them, right? And so it's one of these things where it's like your how you say, your trauma and all the trauma that you've experienced, like, some of the most, like, healthy, inspirational, good, quote unquote, good people in the world are the most traumatized ones. I do have a YouTube, by the way, which I'm pretty sure I'm streaming live on YouTube, so this one will definitely get to. Someone's also asking, what cross was I born in to be like in this life? I'm on the cross of rulership, which is very fun to learn about. Which cross are you, Cody? Let me see.
Yeah, what?
So this is if you take into account your personality, sun and earth, and your design, sun and earth, this is going to create essentially like a cross, because the sun personality over here, earth will be over here, and then 88 days before is going to be a 90-degree angle.
All right.
The cross, yeah. So you are the cross ways, seeking privacy as a means of achieving freedom. 33 is the gate of privacy needs. 24 is the gate of, like, insights and revelation, and then 44 is alertness, right? So having your own physical space, crucial to your state of well-being, enjoying social interactions, but also having solitude and introspection. And this is like, again, is like everyone's incarnation cross. We all have different incarnation crosses, and although we can share them with other people, which you can find your cross it will be in, if you generate your body graph on my website, it will be in the reports. It'll also be in the thing that gets generated, but it will definitely be in the reports in terms of an explanation. And then also, if you get this app, Neutrino Design, it will also be in there. But yeah, we all have our own unique crosses. The cool part about it, though, is it's like you get there by following your strategy and authority. Like, that's the cool thing about human design, is like, if you really go, the more deeply you go into human design, the more importance you see in just following this simple strategy and authority. Because again, like we were talking about with trauma with other people, the potential, how you say, goodness that can come from trauma, right? Like, oh, so this Sarah is the same. She's the cross of the four ways, like you are, Cody.
Can you do this without knowing your time of birth? Somebody just asked. Does it make that much of a difference?
It can. It definitely
can.
Yeah. So
it can.
It actually, if you see on my side of the screen right now, there's this thing right here. It says changes within 12 hours. You guys see that? So if you get this app, and this is the only app I know that has this, if you get this app and you enter in your birth time at noon, this Hello. This right here, if you click that, it'll show you all of the different variations on that day. Now you can also pay like some like Indian dude for like $8. You can get what's called a birth rectification reading, which is literally where someone will just kind of like psychically intuit your thing. For me, that's cool, but this is cooler because again, like, oh, this is how to live. This is who you are. Live with it. It's a this is who you are. Try and prove us wrong. It's like an experiment with break this. And so, for instance, like if you look at your chart and it's like, for the first half of the day, it's a generator, and for the second half of the day, it's a projector. What I would do is, okay, spend the next month using the projector strategy, and then spend a month using the generator strategy and take it, because again, it's not like there's so many things that are like, here's your personality, like just live with it. And it's like, no dude, experiment with it and see what works for yourself. It's just having the proper expectations, because again, going back and forth, generator, am I waiting for invitations, am I waiting to respond, am I trusting my sacral, am I not trusting my sacral, what feels more natural? And you have to get through, because we were talking about trauma, and there's this, and it's not a good word, I don't think, or not an appropriate word, but in human design we talk about deconditioning, right? So taking whatever paradigm you have that is was installed by your parents or installed by your partner, and ultimately learning to see it so that you don't operate unconsciously using that paradigm. So it is a decent word, deconditioning, but it's not like you have to heal your trauma. It's not like you have to do any of that stuff. So many people are trying to like heal trauma, but it's like, bruh, can you even, right? Like, is it maybe the trauma is there because you need to S something? And yeah, the app is called Neutrino Design, by the way, for anyone that's curious. Link is in the bio. Yeah, link is in the bio. It's $26 for the entire year, and you can put like unlimited charts. You can do composites, and again, everything is like tap to learn. So you just tap the learning, and then you can do it. And yeah, it's like, yeah, trauma is also, yeah, it's one of those like buzzwords. I feel like everyone wants to like fix their trauma so that they can manifest the relationship of their dreams, and it's like, that's not how manifestation works. Like, you are going to manifest your trauma either in a refined way or an unrefined way, right? It's like that trauma is going to come up. And again, your style, when the trauma does come up, is going to determine whether or not it can be harmoniously received, or if it's going to make a big splash and make everybody upset. And so being able to see it is more important than being able to heal it. Because a lot of people are like, for instance, they get a cut, and it's like, oh, it hurts on the cut, and so they take care of the cut and the cut heals, but then they get another cut and they get another cut, and it's like they just keep fixing the surface problem, when it's actually like, oh, you actually might have an autoimmune disease, because that's why things heal slowly, right? And that autoimmune disease might be because you don't listen to your intuition type stuff. And so there's a lot of, like, again, really cool nuanced ways that you can use human design to like bird watching. It's not hunting trauma, it's bird watching. Now there is a way to hunt trauma specifically. I call it demon hunter. It's like basically myofascia trigger point release. So like being able to like target certain trigger points in the body, and then like consciously release around that, because the body has what's called nociception, which is this ability to like, oh, that's painful. What we do is we trigger nociception, but then we relax in nociception. It's the same thing as like, oh, you're feeling, really emotional. Instead of like going into, oh, I need to hide this, or I need to make sure that this is not, impacting people. It's like, hey, why don't you just like look at it and not try and fix it right away? Right. And so this helps both with our ability to see that in ourselves, but also in other people. Because it's like in the spiritual community, you probably see it in a bunch. Once someone starts talking about their trauma, if everyone around them is spiritual, they're like, oh, you got to do juicing, you got to do fasting, you got to come get a sound, you got to come do my thing. And for me, when I see that, it's so funny, because I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, look at all these people that are like bypassing their own processes by like trying to help other people. And I always sit back and just wait for people to come to me, and they come to me.
Right. Same. That's what I just wait, bro.
And that's part of your strategy.
Yeah, we just gotta wait, man. Yeah.
Gotta wait, because that's where the ultimate trust comes into play too, right?
Right.
It's like, a generator that like is constantly going around hustling, trying to make it happen, is like, dude, you're gonna burn yourself out so quick. Whereas if you just do what you're doing right now, right, that creates so much magnetism that people are like,
Oh,
oh, I can just come to you. And then like, well, what other services do you do? That kind of stuff. Because again,
Right.
there's enough people that are going to resonate with your message, but you have to be putting out your message. And you running around initiating is not putting out your message. That's putting your message out through the voice box of, whoever you've seen successfully put a message out like that.
True, man. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, honestly, good to see you in here, bro. Appreciate those finger hearts on me.
Exception. Oh, Adrian's asking for a card. Can we get a card?
Oh yeah, we can get a card, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, literally like playing cards.
Oh, bro, throw it.
Yeah, these are just like, they're like literally just like regular playing cards, but let me pull like an actual card with a message to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So are we feeling inner child or earth warrior? What do we feel on those two? Earth warrior or inner child?
Dang. I'm like feeling
because we could just really do both, man.
Yeah. Pull
yeah,
one,
let's just pull. Let's just pull.
Pull
yeah,
one
let's
from
just
each,
do one
baby.
from each. Yeah, we'll do one from each, man. All right. We'll do Earth Warrior first.
Shoots.
Yeah.
Inner child and Earth Warrior. The manifestor has spoken.
Let me see what the consensus is between 1, 2, or 3 on both sides. 1, 2, or 3.
All right, guys. 1, 2, or 3.
Seeing 3, 3, 3 over here.
Yeah,
I got 3 over here. Okay, cool. Lolo, stand in the light. This is literally the collective card that we got yesterday, dude. So this is Lolo, stand in the light. We got that beautiful butterfly, and we got an oracle message attached to this, my friend. So let's go ahead and tap into that. You are unique. You are a divine and beautiful being. You stand apart from the crowd. Sometimes this evokes jealousy or desire in others who want to possess your light and beauty as their own. You need never fear another or believe that they can hurt you or harm you. Allow yourself to be true to who you are. Do not try to hide your inner light and beauty. You are meant to be seen. Your soul is nurtured and protected by your love for Great Spirit. Don't avoid the spotlight or try to hide yourself nor dull your light to appease another or your own fears. Your true inner divine light and beauty is meant to help others, and the only way that can occur is if you allow yourself to fully be and express it. Do not shrink away from your magnificence when you feel challenged. Instead, step it up to an entirely new level of boldness. You have a gentle nature, but you are strong. If you have become obsessed with the beauty or power of another, it's time to come back to your own divine beauty, to unearth it, explore it, express it, and let it shine. Trying to blend in will drain the energy from you. Let those who are attracted to your light adapt to your level of divine expression. You are the benchmark, and they will evolve to reach you. We literally just said this. Right? We just said that exact thing, okay? Did we, Marco? You just said that, bro. Just relax and let it show up. Let them show up because they're going to evolve to reach you. Okay, so we're already in alignment.
I
I'm
love
loving
it,
this
bro.
collective read. Yeah, Adrian, thank you for asking for these cards, my friend.
Yeah.
It was needed. So in the language of Madagascar, Lolo means butterfly, moth, and soul. And the sunset moth of Madagascar is big, beautiful, and bright. Whilst most moths are nocturnal creatures that are active at night, the sunset moth of Madagascar is a creature of the day, with iridescent wings creating a kaleidoscopic effect as they refract the light. They are considered by some to be the most beautiful insect on earth. Yet, in subdued light, their wings can appear far less remarkable. Without light, their true beauty cannot be recognized. You, like this unique creature, are a being that needs light. Light to nourish your life force, and light to reveal your true and remarkable divine beauty. You are meant to shine your divinity in the world in the daylight, not keep it hidden under the cloak of night for fear of how others may react. The bright colors and shape of the sunset moth's wings and their presence in the full light of day leads many to mistake these unique moths for butterflies. You too will find that people do not always realize who and what you are. They may mistakenly assume that your joy and beauty indicate that life has always been easy for you. They may fail to recognize the true depth of your soul and the experiences of darkness and struggle that you may have overcome to become the vibrant, beautiful being that you can now be seen to be. During the daylight hours, the sunset might be seen flitting from one flower to another, feeding on nectar. They discern light waves and indicate a strong preference for white flowers, although not for specific plants. You are one of the rare souls who can find the truth of light and love in any number of spiritual or religious paths, in any number of situations. You are able to recognize and be nourished by purity in many forms. Be it a random act of kindness from a stranger, the unconditional love of an animal, a genuine blessing from a spiritual master, or a moment of simple beauty in nature, you can sense the true presence of love through an evolved inner spiritual discernment. The Madagascar sunset moths are very particular in their eating habits. They are attracted to the nectar of plants that other creatures tend to avoid because they cannot metabolize the toxins. For the sunset moth, however, what they are drawn to consume is not harmful to them. Instead, these moths these moths become poisonous to predators by simply following their natural instincts to nurture themselves according to what suits them, even though it would not necessarily suit any other creature in the same way. What nurtures and nourishes you, what feels good for your heart, body, and soul, is also what protects you. You actually don't need to do anything else for effective protection, and place yourself in the divine beauty of what you absolutely and completely love.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little prayer for the end. Go ahead and place your hand on hand on your heart. Got a little prayer. I am cloaked in divine glory, light, grace, and beauty, and I am a child of the divine and am protected in the sanctuary of absolute divine love now and always. So be it. You don't actually need to do anything else for effective protection than place yourself in the divine beauty of what you love absolutely and completely.
That's what's up, man. Get a little emotional there for a second because
That's what's up, dude.
I love oracle cards, especially like ones like that are so like poetic and beautiful because I feel like I come from such like a logical, definitely feeling, but like that was just so poetic, and it was like two ways to say the same thing, and I love that part about is like the thing that nourishes it also makes it poisonous to predators.
Right.
Which, like, the greatest
Love that
spiritual
part too, bro.
protection we have is like tending to our resilience and nurturing ourselves, because that's the first line of defense, is right, our immune system and all that. Which yeah, I got one more of these card readings in me, and then I gotta bounce. I've been on here longer than I thought I was going to, but dude, I'm so happy, and we'll link
we
up.
got the inner child's very short.
Cool. Yeah,
we're gonna do this again for sure. This was an amazing live, bro.
Yeah,
amazing.
So good vibing with you, man. Everyone in here, if you guys are not already following Cody, make sure, please follow him, because he goes live regularly.
I'm gonna stay live. I'm gonna be live for the next few hours, guys. I'm gonna be on here doing my gratitude affirmations and playing music. So
please stick around.
So 1, 2, or 3 again, you guys. Let me see what the consensus is for the 1, 3.
Are you looking at him? Oh, yeah, I guess because you're hiding them from us.
Yeah. What is there for you?
I'm seeing like 2s. 2s or 3s?
3s.
More 3s are coming in now.
Oh yeah, it's 3s over here. I'm pretty sure, bro.
All right. Let's hit
so
it.
It's inner voice is the card for inner child, inner voice, and I connect with my inner self and stay true to me. That's the affirmation for the back of this.
Wow.
And that's him with a Chinese telephone talking to himself.
With a telephone talking to himself?
Yeah, it's like one of those cup with strings, but he has the cup to his ear and the cup to his mouth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that is number 1, inner voice, my friends.
Love it.
Benny, which is Benny the bunny, that's him. So Benny hasn't been invited out to play with the other bunnies, but that's okay. Whenever he feels sad, he listens to the loving voice inside and feels better. When you are your own best friend, being alone is never lonely. Listen, a wise soul wishes to communicate with you. It is your inner self, here to show you the way forward. Your inner self appears in many forms, as the voice inside your head, the tug behind your heart, or the longing in your soul. They speak to you now in a kind and comforting voice, showering you with loving support. Your inner self is reaching out to give you a big hug and tell you everything. If you've recently been through a tough time, of love and healing to help you recover. Cycle of self-doubt, neglecting the yearning of your soul for the safety of the familiar. Your inner self encourages you to step boldly into the future. Let go of fear and doubt. Your inner self is your biggest cheerleader and your best friend. They know what to do. You need only listen and accept the guidance of your authentic self with loving trust. Your heart would never lead you astray. Listening to your inner self and respecting your path enough to walk it with trust is the purest form of self-love. It is a treasure you give to yourself, the gift of the inner voice. We got an affirmation that I'm going to say 3 times. I am my inner self, and my inner self is me. When I connect with my inner self, I stay true to me. I am my inner self, and my inner self is me. When I connect with my inner self, I stay true to me. One more time. I am my inner self, and my inner self is me. When I connect with my inner self, I stay true to me. Sending you love, bro. I know you're gonna have an amazing rest of your day, bro.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, bro. I'm just like so blissing out right now. This is definitely, I want to do this more regularly. Maybe even me can have like a weekly slot or something that we can get on and just riff on things.
Absolutely, bro. I look forward to the next one, my friend.
Wonderful. Well, to everyone tuning in, thank you guys so much. for your presence and your openness and receiving all of the gifts that Cody and myself are sharing with you guys. We super appreciate it. I'm going to be dropping out of this live. Cody is going to be live for the next couple hours. So if you guys feel like staying in the vibe, please do. And I will see you next Monday. I'll be going live again just on my own. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the month of October at 9 a.m. Hawaii time. And then we'll be announcing something. Maybe it'll be in that slot, or maybe we'll have a separate time that me and Cody will definitely do this again, pull cards, talk about human design, do the whole things. Much love to all of y'all. Mahalo. Aloha. Later, bro.
Love, man.
All right, YouTube, or for the one person still here on YouTube, much love to you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna look back and see how because I did a tag team, or I co-hosted a live over here on TikTok. So if you guys can come over to TikTok, cool, because that's where I'm going to be doing a lot of these, like, again, co-hosted things. And hopefully you were able to hear his voice through the little microphone there. And yeah, that's all. Peace. Much love to y'all. Aloha.